Okay. We're live, Xen. We're live. Tell everybody how you're doing.
I'm doing good. Another day. Um, since the bottom, PTDC is up 200%, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm sure we'll look at some charts and stuff like that. UFO was having a killer week, so that was super sweet as well. And PulseChain passed half a sack price, which is pretty good for PulseChain, considering I think the majority of its lifespan has been spent under half of sack price. So we're making our way back up. And ETH until yesterday was looking pretty strong. I'm sure this is just like a day or two little consolidation period, and we keep moving in the right direction, I'm hoping.
Yeah, it happened pretty suddenly, though. Do you have any idea what triggered the pullback?
I think people were hoping for some rate cuts that didn't happen, and then I saw something that I didn't verify being true that Trump put out some stuff with tariffs yesterday as well, which I assume that's what's going on.
Okay.
Usually stuff like that I feel like just gets forgotten about in a couple days.
Yes. Yep. It'll probably correct to the upside. Maybe even today. But look, with actually Bitcoin took back some of its dominance, but we're on the first day. So this is August 1st, everybody. It's August 1st. It's a new month. So, and Bitcoin hasn't been down to 115 in a number of days. Let's see. Last time it was under 115 was on the 10th of July. So almost a month, 3 weeks. PTDC is holding up pretty good. I'm happy about that. Even in ratio,
Yeah,
I
it
think
almost looks like we're like flagging out on that ratio right now. We're obviously on the low end, but
that's what I was about to say. Some of the TA guys, I think, would refer to that as a bull flag, or maybe
yeah,
you would.
I'm not so much of a TA guy. I think even a lot of people have said it's TA with PTGC is very, very difficult because it has so many liquidity pairs. You also have to look at what the TA is for some of the large liquidity pairs as well, like Hex and Pulse and PulseX, PDI, most all these assets where they are in TA also matters as well. But I think PTGC made a great move up against Pulse and against the dollar. And then recently, Hex and PulseChain made a great move up too. And usually, when there's good moves up, there comes a little bit of a consolidation or a little bit of a pullback before the next move up again. So hopefully, that's all we're seeing here. And within the next couple of days, we keep working in the direction we all want to go.
Yeah, it was nice to see UFO break through that resistance from when was that? That was back in. Do you remember where that resistance level was? It must have been right here, at the end of May. We punched through that resistance. I think it was earlier this week that we broke that resistance. Mike Mack dropped it in the chat, if I remember right.
Yeah, I can't see the far left side of the chart, but there definitely looks like there's a few spots right at that level you're showing with your cursor right now, and we blew right through that. And so nice to see PLS still at below half a sack price again. So we just have so much room to run upwards because the price of the assets we're bonded to are so low. And, obviously what that's going to do for the machine long term is as PLS goes up, the machine will just keep growing and prices, obviously should keep growing as long as there's no crazy sell pressure and we keep doing our buying burns, just keep doing what we've been doing for 2 years now and the math should math.
Yeah. The way I look at it, in reference to the moon math calculator, which we all love, it seems like the higher, and this is obvious. Okay, I'm stating the obvious. Like the higher that PTDC goes in USD and in ratio to pulse, and then the lower pulse stays, the brighter the future looks for PTDC.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I mean, we've gone from, I want to say that back when we first started looking at that moon math calculator, it was like, I mean, some of the projections they're doing, we use various numbers, so they're we're not like consistent, but some of the projections were like, man, somebody's really getting after it there in your shop, dude.
No, yeah, we're super busy at work right now, so they've been working pretty hard lately. I'm gonna step away from that wall. That wall is where my computer is, and I've been telling my guys like, gosh, I really shouldn't have because I ran all the electrical to that exact spot, and it shares a wall. I'm like, gosh, I really wish I thought that through. I should have definitely been on another wall.
It's all right. It doesn't bother me. I just am like, wow, that dude.
A little bit on my screen, but I'll step away from the screen.
Either he's mad or he's working hard, or both.
Yeah, I think a little of both. We've been busy for a little bit now. I can feel the tension building in the shop some days.
Oh, really? Okay.
They like a couple slow days here or there as well to regroup.
I see. So what I was saying is that like the moon math, like if I remember right, we were seeing projections of like, I don't know, 4 cents, 6 cents, and back then we're just like, wow. And now we're seeing projections into the 50 cents, $1, $2. It's changed a lot in the last 6-8 months. Would you agree?
Yeah. So like I've always understood pretty much how it worked, but I started really educating on the X multiplier like way of looking at it last summer, right? That's when I was like really explaining like, hey, this was a good way, because Richard explains it as reflexivity in Hart's law, which I feel like a lot of people like visualize it a different way. And when I've kind of like came up with the idea of visualizing it as an X multiplier by looking at like, hey, let's look at the X's we do against Pulse, and then we can just look at the X's Pulse does, and we get to multiply those together to create the end result. I feel like it really opened up a lot of like the visualization for most people of like, wow, doing like 100x is super easy actually, and this is a way of like understanding it. And last summer we were talking about like, hey, look how easy it is for PTDC to do 100x.
Mm-hmm.
All we need is 100x on PulseChain, and PTDC doing 100x, or sorry, all we need is a 10x on PulseChain and PTDC doing a 10x against PulseChain. And at this time, I think PTDC was like half. So one PLS was equal to half a PTDC. And now one PLS is worth 20 PTDC.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, sorry, other way around. Sorry. 20
Pulse.
Yeah, 20 Pulse is worth 1 PTDC.
Mm-hmm.
So we're technically like 40x on the PTDC side, or no, we're at 15. So we're like 30x, right? So PTDC has already done a 30x against PulseChain in this time period, where PulseChain is up very, very little still. So we've yet to still have the X multiplier side from PulseChain to come in, which is awesome for PTDC, because we're like, hey, we'll just keep doing our X's against PulseChain. And when PulseChain finally kind of comes in and does its 10, 20, 30x, we could possibly be up 40, 50, 60x against PulseChain.
Mm-hmm. That's why
the easiest number I like to use is the August 26th 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Like, so
we're not reference like point.
When we first started talking about the X multiplier, we weren't even at the 1-to-1. We were like, half to 1. But the 1-to-1 number is super easy to remember, the August 26th 1-to-1. We're currently like 16x from that date, and that's a 16x multiplier that we're working off of. So let's say we get to 30-to-1. Now we're at like a 30x multiplier from last summer. So if PulseChain comes in and does a 10x, well, that's a 300x from those levels, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why I've been trying to stress to people, and I think we all have. People will come in new, and they're like, am I late for this? Just like, no. Look where Pulse is. And that's why we've been stressing the JIC bag, the just in case bag. Like if you've been kicking the tires and maybe investigating the ecosystem a little bit and just kind of haven't got any exposure to the grays yet, but you're just like, maybe, maybe one day, like maybe I ought to get that JIC bag ASAP and just see what happens. I mean, like somebody pointed out, we all in the last year probably have and further back too, like collected tokens that are just sitting there. They're non-performing assets. They're like dust in our wallet. And we probably, many of us have a lot of that just laying around that we could flip into a just in case bag of the Grays Currencies and get some exposure, to these assets just in case, if that's where somebody is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a few ways you can go about it, right? You could go about it with some of the assets you already have that have done well, right? Pull some profits and then get your just in case bag. If you don't want to get, a sizable bag because you believe in it and you're kind of just saying, oh, this community is strong. What they're, the fact that they are striving to be the next huge store of value on chain, along with some other great stores of value. This doesn't have to be the only store of value on chain. Just like on ETH, there's multiple great assets. I believe there will be multiple great assets on PulseChain as well, Hex, PulseX, PTDC, etc. But being able to take advantage of it before it does all the X's is super, super key if you don't want to spend a lot of value on it, right? If you wait to store your value in PTDC after PulseChain and PTGC do all their X's to get that same size position, you're obviously going to have to, spend a lot more money. I like to look at it like the people who took advantage of Bitcoin at, let's say, $1,000, which a lot of people did say, wow, $1,000 is a very expensive Bitcoin, or $100 is a very expensive Bitcoin. I knew about this at $20, but if they just took a little bit of value and stored it in Bitcoin at $1,000, let's say it was $10,000. Well, currently Bitcoin's up over 100x from that point. So that $10,000 is now $1 million, and they actually have it in one of the best stores of value that exists today, Bitcoin.
Right.
So they don't have to actually take $1 million now and store it in Bitcoin to be exposed to this amazing store of value asset that appreciates over time. They just took advantage of it in the early times and let their value appreciate with the asset as it evolved into the store of value.
Right. I mean, I think that even let's say we can illustrate this. Let's say that Pulse does a 100x. Well, then it's still plausible and wise to even get into the Grays once Pulse has done 50x, right? If it still has 50x to go. But obviously it's better to get in sooner. As this slide, have you seen this slide before?
Well, I kind of wanted to correct you on what you're just saying, because this is why it's so important to try to take advantage of the assets before they start moving up. Because what you just said was, hey, if PulseChain's already done a 50x, well, you could still take advantage of it there because there's still a 50x to go, right?
Yeah.
This isn't actually true, because this is true for the people who are taking advantage of PTDC and PLS at the low prices today, because they're getting in at a lower price. So every X is actually that many X's for them. That 50 to 100x is 50x's for the people taking advantage of it today. But if you take advantage of it after the 50x, all you're only receiving is a 2x.
True. Yep.
So the low price that PTGC, UFO, and PLS, PulseX, Hex are at right now, those are very important X's, because as the asset grows, it really starts to multiply. And then new people who are coming in, like you said, after a 50x, when they're just up 2x, you are up a whole nother 50x because of
Right.
the risk that you took at the lower levels, right? It's a risk to reward.
Yeah. I mean, you see your crypto like swell, almost like I don't know, like a mushroom. It just swells up when you start doing those X's versus, waiting.
I agree, and that's why I kind of agree. I don't know if I love the just in case bag idea, because I think the asset is so much bigger and more powerful than that. But it does make sense to kind of put that on people's radar in that way at these low levels. Because
Sure.
if PTDC does turn into what we believe, our community believes it is, even if you weren't the strongest believer, you're still trying to understand it. Obviously, it's a complex system. There's also only so much value people have to put into projects, right? Value scarce.
Yep.
So by just doing a just in case bag, if this actually comes true, you're already up a bunch of X's that, like you said, possibly a 50X, to where you don't feel like you might need to put any more in. You can kind of just let that bag ride long term as the store of value, instead of trying to chase it later.
Right. I think one of the ideas behind the just in case bag being, 1 million tokens is that, like, we've seen where perhaps this, could go. It's speculative. It's all risky and all that, but we're here in crypto to speculate, and like where this thing could go. I mean, like 1 million tokens could literally change some people's lives. You know what I mean? It's possible.
Yeah, obviously with a remotely successful PulseChain, PTDC can get very close to $1, and if they scoop up 1 million tokens, that technically can be $1 million in the next sustainable store of value system that
Yeah,
has
or
price
more.
appreciation due to mechanical demand. Obviously, we believe there'll be human demand as well in a product like this. You have hyper-deflationary tokenomics, built-in APY, so a lot of reasons that this could be a very nice place to kind of park that value long-term multi-cycle, and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to scoop up possibly a large position for it for very cheap, because PulseChain is very, very cheap. But very, very rapidly, this could start to disappear. We saw PulseChain just in the recent month go up like 2x, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that did to PTDC is PTDC ultimately went up more than a 2x, but let's just say it went up 2x also. Well, now it's going to take you twice as much value to get that same size position.
Yeah.
Or if you just bought the same size position, you have completely eliminated double the amount of X's. So what would have been 100x for you if you got that exact bottom or close to that bottom is now a 50x.
Yep.
If you let it go another amount, it's actually only a 25x. And it really starts to divide really quick. It's a 13x, then a
I
7x.
know. Yeah.
Um, Taking advantage of dips and discounts in crypto can get you a long ways. And that's where we are in PulseChain. I definitely think people taking advantage of the discounts on the sustainable assets are going to be massively rewarded. The sad part is a lot of the time people will hold assets that aren't sustainable, that don't have the product market fit, and those usually don't go up with the market long term. So I kind of agree with the idea of, when tides are low and every ship is brought back to the same level, even the ones sitting at the bottom of the sea, when the tide comes back, it lifts the ships who are battle tested with no holes, with good crews, who have actually seen a few tides rise in their day. And it exposes the ones that are actually sitting on the bottom of the ocean because they don't move up with it.
Yeah.
They're just sunken ships. So
They
when tides are
disappeared.
low, if you have the opportunity to rotate into the things that you think, when retail flows into crypto, where their value will be lured to, right? Like green candles, strong communities, the assets that kind of have some size is usually where the retail goes. They're usually not finding their way to dead assets, right? With no community. So when everything
Yeah.
is low, it actually makes sense to kind of rotate into the things you think will get retail's attention when it starts to flow in. In my opinion, no financial advice. This is just what I've seen in past cycles.
Sure. Hank Hill asks, how do we see the DAO buy and burns? And I'll just try to answer that by going by following the main Twitter account. Or do you post those from, like, I think you actually post them from your personal X account, right?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways you can kind of track it. Some people track it by just following the main Twitter. Some people track it from when we post it in the TG, because we usually say, hey, just did a buy and burn. You can also follow the wallet that is like the management wallet for most of the buy and burns. Some of the buy and burns happen through the wallets that create the proposals as well. So that's another way. Another way to just see what the value that's getting bought and burnt daily is to look into PTDC website.
Okay. Yep. That's a valuable resource. So we're going to review, just so you guys know, we're going to review some of the data that I've been collecting from my experimental wallet. And that's one of the topics it's one of the hiccups I encountered yesterday when I was getting the data together. I want to talk to you about. So when we get into that, we'll be talking about that supply. And then Polygon asks, did you design PTDC to be a store of value from the ground up, or is it just evolving that way? It's something we've been hearing a lot about lately, like PTDC becoming a store of value like Bitcoin is. Maybe you got a phone call.
No, sorry, I was muted. Didn't realize.
Okay.
Yeah, so PTDC's intent was to evolve into a store of value. But when the asset first comes out, it isn't technically a store of value. There is, risk, and it has to get its own momentum.
Yep.
And if it can evolve and get the traction that I hoped and believed it could, due to the tokenomics, due to the community, also due to the success of PulseChain. PulseChain, I believe, being a sustainable and successful blockchain is key for PTDC becoming a legitimate store of value that has mechanics to have more price appreciation on top of sustainability and liquidity, against some of the other massive projects on other blockchains. Is we're trying to obviously shoot for being one of the best, so people see value in storing here. But it does take steps to evolve into that, right? When you first come out, you are not a store of value. You start out as pretty much a high risk play where you're looking to see, hey, does this community perform? Does this get adoption? Does this product have solid product market fit? Is the mathing? Is the code reliable? And does it function as intended? And as time goes on, what the system is today, I believe, will evolve into a store of value. What we have right now is the opportunity to partake in the asset before it evolves into it. So what we're in today is technically an asset that can do, with a successful PulseChain, crazy amounts of X's, right? Depending on the adoption of PulseChain, the success of PulseChain, how much tricks Richard has up his sleeves, how hard our community works, this system could very easily do hundreds to thousands of X's from this level. So what we're actually getting in today is kind of a different product than a store of value. It's a massive price appreciation asset on chain, but what it could evolve into the future with the success, the sustainability, the growth of PulseChain is, in my opinion, a store of value.
Hank Hill asks, there's $340,000 in the DAO available for buy and burns. Can you walk through how that is spent and where we can see the process unfold? Some days we see 25,000 spent at once. And he has a follow-up. I thought only 100 million pulse could be spent at once via the proposal.
Yeah, so the max proposal size is 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the amount each wallet can take out every 7 days out of the smart contract. The total amount of value within the DAO could be made up between multiple things. You have the amount of value that's pending in proposals. So I would have to add up the proposals, but let me say there's 18 of them right now. So that's 1,800,000,000 PLS just in proposals pending throughout the next 7 days. And as those proposals come out, some of them just do buy and burns right then with the 100 million. And some of the proposals send it over to the management wallet, which is also kind of like a reserve fund to where we kind of wait for it to build up in a little bit larger amount, like the 25,000. And then we'll do a buy and burn of 25,000 because for multiple reasons, it is less transactions, which makes it a little bit easier on the community. It also showcases the power of PTDC a little bit better because on like a daily basis or every couple or few day basis, you get to see like a larger buy and burn happening, which is great for posts and getting attraction to the PTDC system as well. In there, I think there's currently around 4 billion pulse, and we do leave a little bit of reserve in there just in case there's a dip or an opportunity that pops up on chain. It could be a dip on an RH ticker and we want to get some LP for some cheap prices. It could be a dip that happens on PTGC and we want to help support the price by buying up that dip and burning the tokens. I think any protocol should have some sort of a reserve, and this is kind of what our community came about. Just like in a household, right? In a household, in a family, you don't leave your bank account, for the most people don't leave it drained to completely zero. Usually you have some sort of a safety net in case some bill or expense comes up. So PTGC kind of also has the safety net there in case there is a dump and we need to take action on buying a dip, or a great opportunity for a new pairing as an addition to the web comes up as well. We have funds to tap into and take action on it without having to wait a 7-day time period.
I love it. I love the fact that the DAO has, can we just call it USDC has capital sitting on the side that it can deploy to take advantage of,
Yeah, there's countless opportunities that come up. It's hard to kind of name just one, but so we kind of keep that reserve there. And then as it's kind of coming in right now, we've been taking what comes in like daily or bi-daily and just doing like those 20K, 15K. It depends on how much is flowing in because it's not a consistent amount. It depends on the volume and volatility of the chain. But as it comes in, we use that value to do a lot of buy and burns right now, specifically because we think PTGC is on a discount right now. And we want to get as much PTGC off the market, put that PLS into the liquidity web, and get those tokens to the debt address, making the asset more scarce. Because by making the asset more scarce, it creates more sustainability, and it creates pretty much more demand by creating scarcity, which helps with price.
Right. And we've been collecting some sizable fees in the last couple of weeks compared to the last several months. The volume has increased a lot, and I'm very thankful to see that. I think we might have gone over $1 million in volume on PTDC at some point this week. I'm not positive. Do you know?
On one of the days, yeah, I think I saw at one point PTDC had like $955,000 on one of the days. So I wouldn't be surprised if within one of those time periods we crossed over the 1 million mark. But obviously, just if you look at the last week, I think we've generated like $250,000 of value in the last week. What this indicates to me is the machine is operating just as we intended it to operate. When volume slows down on chain, when prices go low on chain, we see the machine slow down. But when volume picks up and as prices pick up on chain, meaning the RH assets, you can actually see the machine ramp up and start to turn on. And this checks all the boxes as far as indicators that we're looking for in this machine, making sure it's operating as we intended, right? So when we see Pulse move up and instantly we see our liquidity rise and volume rise in an even or better ratio, we're like, check, machine's operating as intended. We can actually make educated predictions as PLS keeps going up. These metrics should keep increasing somewhat evenly as well, making it to where as the chain succeeds, our machine starts to turn on, and then obviously value generation becomes greater and greater, which then creates more sustainability because buy and burns can ramp up, LP ads can ramp up, and then APY can ramp up as well, giving more incentive for early adopters or new adopters to hold on long term because they're getting paid an APY in an asset that's appreciating, with that asset becoming more scarce every single day.
Yep. So I remember that we can see the total volume or the highest volume on any given day at secretobank.com. Thank you, Snowflake Society, for building this. You know, this was the first utility kind of tool that we ever had in the Grays ecosystem.
Yeah, one of the first community built dApps to look at these metrics.
Yep.
I actually was just making a post. I made a post about that today, that like our community is so strong and it's so grassroots. It's insane. We have people YouTubing, we have people on Twitter, we have people doing spaces, we have people building like these websites to track the data and the analytics. It's so early still. So like these people who are kind of like setting the foundation and educating and like, in my opinion, like correctly guiding the people who come in this cycle on how we do things is super awesome to see.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to be a part of. So the highest we've seen in the last, well, since May 3rd for PTDC volume is 900 and I'm going to round it up, $917,000. That was just a few days ago. Then for UFO, it almost went up. It was at 393,000. So 400,000. And do you remember the highest we've seen on both of these assets was, it was on one of them, it was $2 million. Do you remember if it was PTDC or UFO?
I don't remember which one it was.
It's off the record now. You can't see it on this chart.
I know they were both cooking at that time, though. They both were having really nice volume days.
Yeah. So
I almost think it was UFO.
Okay. That's kind of what I'm leaning toward. But we're heading back that way anyhow, in my opinion. Well, shall we review some data?
Yeah, let's see what you got, because I think your data is some stuff that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, the last time I did it, that I made it public, I just recorded a video, and that would have been in May. June wasn't very exciting, to be honest. But
yeah,
July,
we're kind of just talking about that, right? When volume is low, when price is low on chain, the PTDC machine does bog down, right? Its utility is off of the price and the volatility volume of PulseChain, but that doesn't mean it's not running. It's just you have to understand where it's at and how it functions. But when prices and volume and literally value starts flowing over to PulseChain, which we still haven't even seen to date, is when all these metrics will really start to get fun, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yes. Dude, I have a blast putting this all together. You know, at the end of the month, I look forward to it, especially when it's been a good month. You know, like yesterday, I was having a ball, man. Wait till you guys see some of the stuff that's in here. I mean, PTDC, a spoiler, PTDC and UFO being like nearly 2% of the entire chain's volume. Come on, man. That's good stuff. So just so you know, this spreadsheet that you're looking at, I guess I got to point in the right direction. There are some gaps. I do all of this manually. Don't bet your crypto bag on it being absolutely perfect. Okay. The way I look at this spreadsheet is it's a look into like a snapshot of time, a month's worth of information for the Grays Currencies. Honestly, I think most of it's pretty accurate, but maybe, and now that I have your eyeballs, it's not just me, Xen, maybe you can, point out any inconsistencies you see. Feel free to let me know. I'll change it to red, and then I'll go fix it later if I can. But there are some gaps and some things that I haven't even filled in, like stuff that I want to do in the future. One of the gaps, Xen, or maybe anybody that can help me with this, how can I find the monthly volume for Ethereum? I just want the monthly volume for Ethereum. I can find it for Pulse, but I don't know where to find it for Ethereum.
I don't know that either, to be honest with you.
I probably need to jump into an Ethereum Telegram. Actually, that's a good idea. If they even have one, they must have one. So
I'm sure one of our community members has a spot. They'll point us to.
Okay, I'll just reach out in Telegram later. So the total bridged is a new metric that I started tracking, which is it's an important one. Every time I hear a new one, I'm like, oh man, we need to be tracking that. Just throw it in here and start, because we got data on many of these. Because back, this is when I was tracking everything daily, but now I'm just tracking it monthly. So it but I've got data going back several months. But here it's because I just started this one 3 months ago. So, but if you look at the bridge to PulseChain, it was 96 million in May, 82 million in June, and 107 million in July.
So is this just the value that's in the bridge right now? Like you take a snapshot on just a specific day?
That's a good question. It was, I got it from pulsecharts.com. No, I didn't get it from, it shouldn't be, I don't think it is a snapshot for a day. It's for the whole month.
Okay. I think it might just be a snapshot of that day because that looks pretty similar to where the bridge's value was sitting at.
Okay.
In each of those months, which I think is still a great metric, right?
Sure. Okay.
But I don't think that's literally the amount of value bridged in, which I think that's what your title is. Is that what you thought that number was?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think that's the amount of value bridged in this month. I think that's the amount of value sitting on the bridge.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
just because those numbers are oddly similar to those numbers, and I know usually when stuff is like looking similar, it probably is similar.
Right. Total Pulse wallets again. I get that from apphex.win. So, and we're familiar with Metcalfe's law, or that principle where if you have more wallets, that means the network is becoming more valuable, which is going to attract more people. We had 1.35 million in May. Now we're up to 1.41 in July. So that's good. So people are coming over to PulseChain. PulseChain total volume was at 598 million. Our peak that I recorded was in December, 1.8 million. So I'm looking forward to the day when we exceed 1.8 million. PulseChain, and there's just the averages. PulseChain's average daily volume is 19 million. It was pretty bad about maybe 6-8 weeks ago. We were seeing volume in like 9. I think I saw a day in 8. It was like 8 million or 9 million. It was pretty low. But that's just opportunity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously that you can see that bridge number, the amount of money in the bridge is pretty much directly correlated. On the lower bridge number days, you can see volumes average at lows as well. And that just is all correlated with prices being low, activity being low. All this stuff is so correlated with each other. And when that bridge value starts to go up, that means new value is flowing into PulseChain, right? That's just simply what it means. When new value flows into PulseChain, that doesn't mean only that PLS is going up, which means market makers need to move more value, which is naturally, mechanically going to increase the on-chain volume. But also there's new users. If we double the amount of users on chain, which isn't really hard, I bet you you might even have it on here, like how many unique addresses are doing transactions daily, right?
I don't have
that. What?
I don't have that.
Okay, but it's not much, right?
Sure.
The amount of daily users, active PulseChain users is actually very, very low. We can double this amount of people with what I believe Richard has coming very soon with his marketing to retail and other blockchains, etc.
Yeah. So the PTDC total volume, it did a 4x basically from June to July. That's good, man. We got to match and exceed February though, when we had $21 million in volume. We had a good winter, man.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Like when we do our math and we say, okay, as PLS moves up 4x, we believe our volume will move up 4x.
Right.
When I've said like, hey, these are modest metrics, this is a great example of how modest those metrics actually are. When PLS just went up 2x in the last month, our volume has actually increased 4x.
There
Do
you
I
go.
think it's going to keep increasing in that magnitude all the way up? I don't, because the numbers would be insane.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of
Okay.
I hug it down a little bit to that. Hey, PulseChain does 2x. I think PTDC will naturally do a 2x in volume because we know our liquidity will be up 2x, which means market makers need to move 2x the value. That just mechanically makes sense. But there is the fact of PLS moving up. You know PLS has to move up from new users coming in chain. And those new users are going to bring volume. Those new users are going to bring volatility. And if those numbers keep expanding like that 4x to 2x on PulseChain number, PTGC's growth will get insanely um, high because the buy and burn will be increasing that rate, the liquidity adds, the APY. I don't even like to use those numbers because they get ridiculous.
Yes. Thank you, Beach Whale, for the answer. He said I could probably find, or the best place to find that Ethereum volume would be on Etherscan. Good call. I didn't even think of that. PTDC's liquidity, I just started tracking it. And what I do is I just like at the end of the month, when I get this data, I put it in here. I just get the last day. So PTDC's liquidity was $13 million yesterday. And its market, in the market cap too, and its market cap was 231 million. And you can see the contrast there compared to the last day of June. Its liquidity basically doubled, and the market cap more than tripled.
Mm-hmm. Which is somewhat due to our price moving up faster than PulseChain. So
Yeah.
if the price of your asset is moving up faster than the price of the assets you're bonded to, you will actually start to spread your price / market cap higher than your liquidity, which then creates a spread, which that spread can get so large and your price can get so high that people sell into it and kind of bring that ratio back to more of an equilibrium. But if your X's are solely from the assets you're bonded to or in conjunction to the assets you're bonded to, your liquidity will actually keep up a lot better with your price appreciation, which makes the growth more sustainable. We've yet to even get to see this on PulseChain since PTGC launched in general. Like PulseChain is currently less priced than when PTDC even launched. We have seen it in short bursts, right? We've seen PulseChain go up 2 times since launch majorly. And whenever PulseChain has gone up 2 times, that's what we've seen. We've gotten to see PTDC's machine start to turn on. And every time it's started to turn on, we've been beyond impressed with its performance.
Yeah.
I think those turn-ons of PulseChain are, personally, I think those are minor into comparison what it's going to do on this next move.
Yes.
Which will be fun, right? If the machine just performs somewhat similarly, which I don't see why it doesn't, since it's pretty much a machine on chain. It's just code and LP pools mechanically getting fixed against each other. I think it's going to be super entertaining, and we'll have lots of data to go over constantly.
Yeah. The PTDC token's available for purchase. And I just get it from PulseTGC.com because that's where I started. I know it's not like 1000% accurate, but you get to see a contrast. Like in August, when I started recording this, the tokens available for purchase was 8.3 billion. Yesterday it was 4.3 billion. Half the tokens. And the next section here is this is probably my favorite, Xen, because it really illustrates. I want to say it illustrates to the rest of PulseChain how strong our ecosystem is. And honestly, I don't know what other volumes. Like, it'd be interesting to see a pie chart of what tokens have the most volume. I imagine Pulse, and then Hex PulseX would have a big piece of the pie, But that'd be pretty cool if you could. Maybe somebody has that. If somebody knows where I can find that, that'd be cool to see. But I just know that between PTDC and UFO, we are 1.84% of all the volume on PulseChain.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, volume for most tokens doesn't really matter, right? That means people are interacting with it, but that doesn't necessarily mean price is going up.
Yeah,
and
right.
Richard Hart very much used to talk about this all the time, is people tend to relate volume to success, and volume doesn't always mean success, because for most asset, volume does not mean price appreciation or anything for holders. What is nice for our system is we do generate revenue off of volume. So we want our volume up because it's actually generating revenue for our system. So as our volume increases, that actually appreciates the price of the asset. It makes it more scarce. It adds LP and pays APY. So our system does actually grow off of volume. Most tokens on all chains don't make anything off of volume. The only people that make stuff off of volume is LP providers, DEXs, and centralized exchanges.
That is true. The fee distribution total, that's the highest we've seen in 4 months, $424,000 for PTDC. And this is all, it's like I have PTDC here on the left, and we are working our way to UFO. The average ratio, what I do, Xen, is I just pull up DEX Screener, I put it on the monthly, put my cursor in the middle, and I get a snapshot. So our average ratio was 13.1, highest it's been for, looks like 6 months. We were at 19.7 in February. And yeah, we've been down in ratio since February.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. So we're making our way back up on the ratio against Pulse as well, and it's been a few months.
But look at where we were in February 2024, 0.5, like you were just saying a little bit ago. And we just slowly worked our way up.
Yeah, so that was like the one I was talking about when I first started really bringing up the X multiplier. That was in July, and we were pretty much a half there as well too.
We've come a long way, baby.
Yeah, that's pretty much like a 30x in that last year against PulseChain, give or take.
That's where we are. The 30x against PulseChain in the last year. Exactly. Let's see. Total tokens held in wallets. And I don't really have enough data there to even speak about it, and just kind of started recording that. And again, I get that from pulsetgc.com. And then total stake tokens and total lock tokens. Interesting that the total lock tokens is down from May. I know why. There was a lot of unlocks in, I want to say, probably March, but April and then May. And if you noticed, like, I think we're going to get into this in this spreadsheet, but there haven't been a lot of unlocks lately. And I think one of the reasons is because the weak lock holders, the weak-handed, exited a lot of their locks back when a lot of stuff was happening a few months ago. So we haven't had a lot of unlocks lately. But that's why we have a decrease in the amount of locked tokens, in my opinion, because people unlocked just a few months ago.
Yeah, I'm still amazed on how many locking rewards we were receiving in just the volatility of the market. I designed it in a way that, I wanted there to be extra incentives there to encourage people to delay their gratification and to technically save them from their worst enemy in the right products, which is themselves. Like if you find the golden goose, the best thing you can do is protect yourself from yourself in those assets. Like that was the best thing anyone's done with Bitcoin. That's the best thing anyone's done with ETH. Even BNB, like you can look at any of like the top 100 assets for the most part, and the best thing anyone could do is actually protect them from themselves in those assets. I believe PTDC is that, so that's why this was put in. But the amount of APY that users were receiving from early unlocks, I was beyond impressed by. I'm wondering, my next question is, when we have the bull market here, people are going to come into PTDC, people are going to create locks, people will most likely close those locks early, which is sad. I don't want them to, but this is just kind of what would happen. I'm wondering if the APY will remain decent throughout this bull market and bear market, or if people are getting better educated and believe more in the system long term as the system proves itself over time. So we'll see if it remains decent or if it goes to levels that I more considered it being at in the design process. I know you want them high.
What's that?
I know you want them high.
Oh, the unlocks?
Yeah.
At the appropriate time. Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of unlocks. Look, okay, so while you were talking, I remember specifically having this conversation with Crypto Kong, who built lookintoptdc.com, and we plugged in a number to the calculator, which was 139 billion. See this precise number here? We built that into the unlock calculator back in February, March. So there we have another data point in I think it was more like February. In February, there's 139 billion tokens locked up. Now there's 131. And look at this. Do you see this number down here?
Uh-huh.
Okay, this is when I first came into PTGC and I was getting data. I found this on an old spreadsheet. It was 118 billion.
So we had a massive increase and now we have a decrease.
Yeah.
But February was near our top. So if we start trending up again, maybe our locks trend up also from new users coming in and locking up their tokens.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
PTDC, and then the circulating supply for PTDC has decreased because people are buying tokens off the market. And we're burning tokens. We did a burn today, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like $27,000, $26,000.
Okay. How many tokens do you remember?
35 million.
A Dolphin Plus.
Yeah, I saw on Look into PTGC that we've bought and burnt just over a Dolphin position in the last 24 hours, which is nice to see. Actually, I'm going to start calling the dead address the killer whale. Because it's sending PTDC tokens to the dead address.
Yes, it's the killer whale.
I've been trying to think of a fun one for the dead address, for like the buy and burns. And I think that's the most fitting one. Because, all the tokens that go to the dead address are technically killed. It's the dead address. So I'm going to just start calling the dead address the killer whale.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those killer whales attacking those, what are they, seals?
I just that's what I did with the post today. I posted the purchase and then I posted a GIF of a killer whale jumping on the beach eating a seal.
Yeah, those killer whales are ruthless, man.
Yeah.
Just incredible. So just as a reference point, that's all this spreadsheet is about. I put in the cost for a Dolphin position. Back in April, it was $7,000. In May, it was $11,000. In June, it was $7,000. In July, $23,000. It keeps going up, Xen.
Yeah, right over. Yeah, February was probably the highest, but we don't have that there.
True.
But yeah, let's see if we can keep that increasing throughout this next however long this bull market goes. If we can keep that increasing for that time period, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can actually fill in some of those blanks. That'd be fun to have. Just bear with me while I make a note to do that. Okay. So the average holding yield per million. So you guys can do the math. If you got, more than $1 million, just do the math. Average holding is, so this would be reflections per day in July was 22. In April, let's see, our highest month it looks like was September, but obviously price was lower then. So this spreadsheet isn't accounting for price in this column. You're earning 66 in September, 22 in July. But then if you've been holding since then, you can go back and figure out how much you've earned in yield, but you can also see it in the wallet, to be honest. Staking yield, 35 per day per million. Unlock yield. Look how it was really high in March, 1,447. And then look, this is the lowest I've seen at 89 in July.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, we're just, the lockers are tapped out. Everybody that's locked right now is more so diamond handing their locks. But as we see price go up, I do speculate that we're going to see more people unlock, and that's fine.
So Banana, one thing that I noticed, if you go back to the holding rewards compared to staking rewards,
okay,
I've been using a number when I've been educating people on it that staking is roughly 130% more than holding. But I was just kind of running some numbers real quick, and it's actually 150% more.
Okay. And how did you get that? 22 divided by 35?
Well, I could tell that I was looking at June and 10 to 15, right? So 10 to 10 would be 100% more rewards because it's just even. And then 15 would be 150% more rewards for staking. And then I looked at the 19 and I just kind of said, okay, well, an extra 50% to 19 would be roughly 9.5. And if you add 9.5 to 19, you're pretty close to 29, which that one's actually even a little bit above 150%. So just judging off of those two, we're right now producing 150% more for staking, or additional if you stake, than just holding in APY. Yeah. And I think part of that increase is not only because you get more because there's less people staking, but then you also need to remember when people unstake, you're getting that 1% as well, which helps increase those rewards also.
Right. And then you're getting an additional 89 in July if your tokens were locked. So 22 for holding, 35 for staking, 89 for locking. It's just really.
Well, that's not per day, the 89 though, right?
I believe that's per day. I need to annotate that.
You have per day next to it, 2.96.
Oh, yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, so you get an extra 3, which is
Correct.
pretty much like an extra 10 to 15% on top of that.
Yeah, I did notice that yesterday. It didn't look very juicy for the lockers.
Yeah, that was more what I thought it was going to be at. Like I said, I never thought the APY was going to be as juicy as it was for some of those months. For the early unlockers, I was pretty impressed with how non-long-term mindset a lot of people were. The people were not too good at delaying their gratification. But But we'll see how it goes in the future. We'll see if it picks up again or if it remains more at the numbers that I thought it was going to be at. But either way, in my opinion, it was more designed as a tool. You still get all your standard APYs for holding and locking or staking, and then you get additional for locking if it's a lot or a little. But the main purpose was to protect users from their worst enemy, which is themselves, when you are in the right products. This doesn't really work with most tokens, 99.9% of tokens, because 99.9% of tokens literally aren't designed to succeed. They're designed to take the value out of their wallet and put the value take the value out of your wallet and put the value in their wallets. So you can't use that same judgment for those assets, but for assets that actually become the golden gooses in blockchain, like actual sustainable long-term systems that go up over time, multi-cycle systems, you are your worst enemy.
Yes. Yeah, we sure are. Jay Green asks, Banana, you often talk about doing multiple smaller locks rather than one large lock. Is there a limit as to how many locks you can do? There's no limit on the number of locks that you can do on a certain wallet. You can make one stake, multiple locks. How much was unlocked? This is interesting. 41 million for the whole month. And I've been saying last year for any given 30-day period, we unlocked 395 million. Well, that greatly we saw a huge month in March with 669 million. And it dropped to 575 in April, and then it was well below the average in May, and then in July, 41 million, like a fraction of the average for last year. But it is what it is. It's okay. I think it'll increase. Total PTDC tokens burned. This is where I have some questions. I was doing this yesterday, and I was like stripping my gears a little bit, just mentally trying to figure out how. And I was running the formulas through ChatGPT to try to ensure I had them correct. And I can't figure out how you burn 406 million tokens total, but then your average per day is 13 million. And then the average per day burned by PTDC is like 3 million. It just wasn't. I mean, if you see anything, we can just.
Yeah, what do you not understand? Because you're just dividing that 406 million by like 30, right?
Yeah, 31 for the number 31.
Of days. Yeah. So I think that mathing, and then you're just saying the 3 million is just what's coming from the automated function within PTGC smart contract. But obviously, there's the DAO that's also buying and burning, and there's UFO that's also buying and burning PTDC as well.
Right, and I've got that factored right here. I think this is where my confusion is, because we have a total daily of 13 million. PTDC is burning 3. UFO is burning 2. That's only 5. So there's probably a problem with my formula.
No, I think the rest is coming from the DAO.
Oh, you think the DAO makes that much?
Well, in the last month, let me see. Because the DAO has been focusing pretty heavy on buy and burns recently. And in the last month, my look into PTGC is loading. Hold on. So in the last month, the DAO has accumulated $171,000.
Okay.
So that checks out pretty well for me.
Okay, so the difference there would be in the DAO burnings and other small projects that are burning PTDC. Okay. All right, that makes me feel better, because I was like, I just could not figure out what I was doing wrong there. Okay.
Yeah, it seems to check out to me.
Yeah, I'll just tune that up next month. And then it's interesting to see how much more is burned by UFO. And actually, this month it was not. UFO did not burn a lot more. But in like December, look at the difference that UFO was burning versus PTDC. Like it's more than double. And in July, PTDC was burning more PTDC. And it's been that way for a few months.
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of UFO's volume comes from the success of the Richard tickers because it's literally a farm built for the Richard tickers. So I do believe once those tickers start moving back up and start regaining their demand, I think UFO will start to naturally increase its volume to re-give PTDC a good run for its money on buying and burning at least somewhat similar amounts of PTDC daily, which is great for PTDC, right? We want to buy and burn as much of that stuff daily as we can.
Absolutely. All right, average holders added. This is where I get really excited. The last time we had this many holders added per day was in March. We added 25.4. I'm counting fractions. Total new wallets, 788. New gold circles. Hey, that's a thing. People are getting excited about the Grays and joining the gold circle space force. We added 16 new Telegram members, 159. That one puzzled me a little bit. We only added 159 in July, but whatever, it's okay. And I don't know how I got these X account followers. So I was, but I should be able to get that for next month. PTDC liquidity. I think we already talked about that. Gecko ranking. Look, we were 549 in May. We're 293 or so. And then UFO is 894. It was 1,248 in May. And then
I like that metric because we have that goal of getting ourselves up to the 25th spot. So let's see if we can keep that ranking working in the right direction.
Yeah, let's do it. So one way we can do that, guys, is voting on Pulsefolio. Go to pulsefolio.com every day and vote for both PTDC and UFO. You can vote twice a day now. So everybody just do that. Make it part of, if you only do it once a day, just do it in the morning or whatever time works for you. Go vote. It's super easy. If you want the link, we post it in the Telegram. You just click off of it, vote, and it helps. Says we need to be in the top 1 and 2 spots. I don't care which of our tokens is in number 1, but one of them needs to be there. So, and I think it's going to take some like extra effort to get us into those spots, and then we can do some maintenance to keep them there. That's my goal. Okay, and then we have the bottom DAO wallet was just to be in the top 100, you had to hold 250 million. And we got the UFO sections in, so it goes pretty quick. And then you got your fees collected for PTDC and UFO. You guys can glance at that. UFO total volume was 2.8 million. Its liquidity 15.6 million. Market cap 38.7. Average volume for UFO is $89,000. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, look at June was 25,000. It's like a triple, more than a triple.
Yeah, and that's great to see. We want to just, my main thing is I want to see that average increasing as PLS goes up, at least in an even amount ratio. More is obviously better. That means the machine will have an amplified effect with the success of PulseChain. And again, if the amplified effect is the truth, PTGC and UFO become crazy awesome as far as value generation.
Mm-hmm. UFO 30-day fee distribution total was 161,000, quadruple from June. Here's your average price, average ratio. I want to see us at above 1-to-1 by the end of August. I think August is going to be a hot month. Average daily LP. So here's your LP yield in PLS. If you hold them, for every 1 million UFO that you hold is 105. For every 1 million UFO that you had in LP, well, this would be UFO shares. For every 1 million UFO shares that you hold, you would earn you earned 43.8 PLS. Make sure that's right. Oh, hold on. Average daily. Oh, this is I'm sorry. I got it backwards. So you guys can just figure that out.
Hey, I don't see your screen anymore. I don't know if you dropped it on purpose or.
Yeah, I totally. Thanks for saying something. Here is the average daily LP yield in PLS. That's 105. So that's for every 1 million UFO shares. And then the UFO yield in UFO, 43.8 for every 1 million. And there's your circulating supply on UFO. It's gone down by, about 1 billion tokens. That's good in the last month. There you go, 1.5 billion tokens burned in the last month. Average per day, we're burning 49 million tokens per day on average in July. That's a good deal. Your UFO dolphin cost, $3,870. That's the highest I've seen. Well, I know we've been higher. I would just have to fill in. UFO average holders added 6.35 per day. Total new wallets 197. So less than PTDC. UFO needs to get some loving, man. It needs to get more like PTDC. For some reason, it always is in the limelight, getting all the extra attention. UFO. I'm hoping the narrative will flip and UFO will end up surprising everybody. I'd love to see that, and I know a lot of holders would. Ayo asks at rank 25. I think he's talking about CoinGecko. What price would PTDC be? Can you estimate that in your head, Xen?
Are you able to pull up CoinGecko by chance? Or no?
Yep.
Let's look at it.
Number 25. Let me scroll. I got to get on the first page, I think. Yeah, because there's 100 per page. The top 25 right now is market cap $8 billion.
Okay, and I obviously, as we go up, most likely the market's going up because that's an indication of value flowing on chain, which then means value can make its way to PulseChain and then make its way to us. So to be fair, we also have to increase that number as well.
Okay.
Who knows what that
right.
number would be? For fun, let's say it 4x's, right? So what would a 4x of 8 billion be? 32,
33,
right? 33. Yep. So how far is that from our current market cap?
Oh, it'd be 33 billion. Just a second. So 33 million divided by, and what's the current market cap? 180 something?
No, we're at 230, I think. Hold on.
225.
225.
So 33 billion divided by 225 million. Happy worker there. 146.
146x?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this is a fun thing to kind of run into. So right now, just judging on, us making the assumption that those top assets will increase by roughly a 4x this cycle. They could increase a lot less. They could increase more. Usually it is hard for those larger assets to do a 4x, but that would be great. We want them to increase because as those assets increase, that means value is flowing into crypto. Value flowing into crypto is great for every asset for the most part. That's sustainable. So 146x definitely sounds like a lot of x's, but due to the x multiplier, doing 146x is not too difficult, right? If we can keep increasing over PulseChain due to our human demand, due to our mechanical demand, due to our holders staying strong and holding the price up due to APY and other features built into the system, we can create the scenario of, let's say we do a 5x from here, and let's say PulseChain does a 20x from here. And I don't know if you can pull that up on your screen to just show people what that equals banana on looking to
can.
PTDC. And I just want to use this example because some people might think, okay, this 140x is quite far. And I agree, it is a journey, right? And there's milestones along the way that we're going to celebrate and be happy about. But by keep working in the right direction day in, day out, you can make very large distances actually very short if you constantly work in the right direction and keep going in that direction, not veering. But being on an undervalued blockchain gives us a huge advantage compared to other tokens on other blockchains. The fact that PulseChain it's down from SAC price, it's half of it. So it's pretty much up 0x's. But yeah, throw a 5x and a 20x in there and see what price that gets us at and how many x's, and then we can multiply our x's, those x's, by the current market cap we have, and that could give us a possible market cap for our future.
Okay, so that'd be a 100x, the 5x factor, and then the 20x on Pulse. That'd be 100x, and you're suggesting multiply that 100 by the 146?
Yeah, see, that's not going to get us all the way there. Or no, it's not by 146. It's 100x by our 230 mil market cap.
Oh, I see what you're saying. 100x times 230 million market cap?
Yeah.
230.
It's going to equal a 23 billion market cap.
Yes.
So what that tells me is we need more than a 5x on PTDC and a 20x on PulseChain. Let's say, okay, we think PTDC will do a 7x against PulseChain from here, and let's say we believe PulseChain is going to do a 30x. Let's see where that gets us.
Okay, 7x on PTDC, 30x on PulseChain.
And a 30x on PulseChain really isn't that high. That's only roughly a 15x from SAC price. So again, like a 15x from SAC price is very easily achievable for a layer 1 blockchain.
Yeah. Richard would have to go into hiding if he only got a 30x. He already is, but you know what I mean. That would be a 210x.
Okay. So that actually pushes us far beyond the top 25 of all tokens that exist.
Oh, really?
And so you could plug that in, whatever that 210x times 230 mil market cap.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that's 40 something billion.
48 billion.
48 billion market cap.
Yeah. Whoa, baby. So where would that put us? If we were at 48 billion, that would put us closer to like top woo, like 8.
Yeah, what's 10? Where does the 10 billion threshold cross?
10 billion is down at number 19.
Okay.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's, a fun number to kind of work with. That's, if that did a 4x, that would be 40, so we'd be far above that 19 number 19 slot. So that's why, like, for one, it's a great, it's super fun to show the community possible finish lines for the ecosystem. I don't mean a finish line forever, right? I just mean like, hey, this is actually achievable this cycle for us to get in the top assets of all cryptocurrency, due to the fact that Richard is giving us the opportunity to build real DeFi protocols on an undervalued blockchain.
Right.
Every time in existence of every other blockchain, the blockchain was already up multiple X's by the time real sustainable products came out on chain. They missed out on the 30x that we're only asking for, is the funny part, right?
Mm-hmm. But as PTDC is going up, the rest of the other assets are going to be going up also, like you kind of pointed out. But I think we're going to be going up faster than a lot of these assets.
Well, so a lot of those assets in the top 50, they're already on blockchains that have already done hundreds of X's.
Yep.
So they've already gotten to either capitalize on their X multiplier, and that's why they're there, or they missed it and they just have a really good sustainable product, and that's why they're there, right? To where we still are at the beginning stages of our X multiplier, which with the successful blockchain, it could slingshot us very easily in that top 25 slot.
Do you know, and I agree with that, do you know if there are any other assets on PulseChain, not including the 4 core tokens that are ahead of PTDC on CoinGecko?
I don't think listed on CoinGecko. There's other assets that also have decent market caps. For an example, one of them is PDI. If PDI's narrative is true, I think PDI will also be up in those areas if that is also a functioning thing that comes out in the future. There's also assets on PulseChain with manipulated market caps, which CoinGecko has been known for delisting manipulated market cap tokens. But who knows what all happens with those things. One thing I really like to worry about is myself, right? I think a lot of people spend time worrying about other systems and other people, and they actually neglect worrying about the most important thing is their own protocols and their own personal finances. And they're always worried about what's going on elsewhere and what's happening, to where the PTDC community and even myself, I try to mainly just focus on our own project and do what's best for our own system and see where we can get our system. If other systems are also successful, kudos, right? That's awesome for you. The more successful projects on PulseChain, the better, because those are more onboarding tools for PulseChain. If there's multiple good things on PulseChain, that means we're onboarding our own people, Hex is onboarding their own people, other projects are onboarding their own people. Well, all that value has to go through PLS. So the higher we can push PLS's price as a team is a free X multiplier for all of us. So that's why I kind of hey, keep your head down, even for our community, hey, keep your head down. We know what we have. We know what this code does. We've seen it working for 2 years, and let's do what we can as a community to get our asset into the top 25. And if other people or other projects are along with us for the rides, that's awesome. More people on our team scoring baskets with us gives us a better chance of succeeding and winning this game of crypto, right? If we're the only one making baskets, it's very, very hard to win a team sport game. But if Hex is scoring some baskets, PulseX is scoring some baskets, even if they're not listed on CoinGecko, because some people don't think they will get listed because they're Richard's projects. But we know they're succeeding. We know they're bringing value in. And as they succeed, we succeed. As we succeed, they succeed. It's a team effort, all working for the common goal of adoption of PulseChain. Because if we all have sustainability and adoption of PulseChain comes, we all win.
That just runs right in line with what I've been thinking for a day or so, and that is, we want to be known as the ecosystem that is not tearing down publicly, tearing down, defaming other ecosystems, other tokens. People are going to do what they're going to do. And if you want to have a private conversation with somebody with a buddy of yours, I think that you think it might be messing up and just turn them onto the Grays, you can do that. But I think that cutting other projects down publicly, especially on Twitter, it's not our style. And like you just said, if people come into those projects, they're going to create volatility perhaps for the Grays ecosystem, and those people coming into those projects, maybe that's where they start. And then they end up discovering
just those prices going up will raise the price of PTDC too. But you have to realize there's people lurking, and as we grow, more people will watch and bigger players will watch. And as a team that we believe is going to be a winning team, do we want to win with dignity and respect, or do we want to be trashy? What do we think is going to be a better onboarding tool for PulseChain and our protocol? I think being professional, educational, and kind to people will actually help onboard people to PulseChain and onboard people to PTGC and UFO specifically, as well as being a very respectful community to real value coming in. That sloppy winning thing, like, that only gets you so far, and it brings a lot of bad press. I think clean professional winning is very important for our system.
Yes. I've heard of big bags. People with big bags that want to bring people into like certain ecosystems and you know, because big bags hang around with big bags. And he's like, I want to bring some people into this ecosystem over here, but you know what? I can't, you know, we're white collar over here. We're classy. But this person has a favorable opinion about the Grays currencies because of how we conduct ourselves. So I loved hearing that. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder for us as we move forward, because, you know, as you win, you know, you want to show off that you're winning, and you want to be proud of winning. I think being proud is okay, but also being respectful to others and kind is very important, educational. I do only have 10 minutes left. My shop needs me for something. So let's, you know, just keep that in mind.
Sure. Let's wrap it up on this question. Run, dream, achieve. Ask, say Joe Schmo has 200 million PTDC. Do you think it would be wiser to put 100,000 of that into getting close to a whole Bitcoin? Sounds like you have a desire for a whole Bitcoin and keeping the rest in PTDC, or just keeping it all in PTDC. Let me take a shot at this then. At this point in the cycle, if it were me, I'd be holding PTDC. Maybe later on in the cycle, if you wanted to take some profit and go get that goal of a whole Bitcoin, you know, go for it. And as far as I know, how the cycles work is like we're going into alt season. After alt season, Bitcoin starts running up. And so that might be a good time to get into Bitcoin and ride that, you know, run up of Bitcoin. And then you can perhaps rotate some back into alt season, but however you want to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes great sense. Obviously, that's a hard question. That's pretty much financial advice. But so non-financial advice, I do think, you know, Bitcoin has done a lot of X's. It's near the top of its S curve. All the governments own it already. The largest companies in the world own it already. The richest people in the world own it already. It is a great asset. I believe it'll keep going up. I think we are at a point on PulseChain right now where there will be a lot of X's, and those X's will directly affect PTGC and X's as well. So again, this could be wrong. There is risk to reward on PulseChain where there's less risk with Bitcoin. But I do think there's a massive chance for reward on PTDC and PulseChain right now. And if PTDC and PulseChain are successful in the future, after value starts flowing into PulseChain, you know, it might be a good time at that point to de-risk a little bit and get the Bitcoin or 2 or 3 or 4 that you wanted, right, as a different diversification system. Again, no financial advice. This stuff could go to zero, and that could have been the right move. Who knows? What do I know? I'm just some alien head JPEG sitting on the screen next to a guy with a banana in his name. So
yeah,
you know, you got to do what you got to do. But I do think the system's proven. I think the system mathematically has a lot of things that Bitcoin doesn't have. And if PulseChain is successful, I think it can become a on-chain asset that's a great store of value alongside products like Bitcoin and other things like that.
Agreed. All right, Xen, we're going to have to do this again sometime.
Definitely. Yeah, I think if you're open to it, maybe we could try to do it every Friday or every other Friday or something like that as this bull run kicks off, or once a month, whatever you feel comfortable with. Obviously, if something comes up, maybe one day, we don't have to do it, but I'm pretty consistent about showing up on a timely schedule. So if you want to do it again, let me know.
Okay, cool. I'll be in touch.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, have a good work day and good weekend. We'll see you. So Spaces tomorrow, everybody. Spaces tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific. So jump in, join the conversation, and go vote in Postfolio. All right, man.
All right. See ya.
See you later. See you guys. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you.